Hey guys, ForTheAfro Reviews here, and today I'll be reviewing chapter 259 and 260 of the Seven Deadly Sins. Again, I've said this in my other videos, but I apologize for being late. Really hectic week last week. Won't happen again, or I'll try for it not to happen again. I'll do my best here. Anyway, let's get into the chapters. So chapter 259 starts with this really cool spread that states the power levels of a bunch of the, no-name demons, just like the random demons, that have like the arbitrary titles. So I'm going to go through a bunch of those really quick. So we have the red demon, power level is 1000 to 1300. We've seen a lot of those already. That's the demon that Bond beat in the Fairy King's Forest way back when. We've seen the ash demon, power level 2700 to 3200. That's the demon that Hendrickson fused with, that Gilthunder, Hauser, and Green were confronted along with Hendrickson again in the little village. We've seen a couple of those. Then we have a Cobalt Demon, power level 400 to 1300, and we saw a couple of those in the fighting tournament. Melios and Bond beat them completely effortlessly, and I'm glad their power level isn't higher, otherwise I would have called bullshit, because Bond doesn't have a very high power level. Next we have a Persimmon Demon, power level 1300 to 1600, looks kind of like a koala. I've been calling them koala demons, and I will continue to call them koala demons. Then we have a Copper Demon, which really surprised me, power level 3800 to 4500. So other than Albions, these are the most the most threatening demons that you can run across. Well, other than the commandments and stuff, the most threatening foot soldier demons. Then we have the White Demons, which are complete and utter fodder, power level 150 to 250. So super weak compared to even like a lot of Holy Knights, I assume. Then we have a Ochre Demon, I'm not sure how to say that word, power level 800 to 1100. He looks super creepy, and they're also in the weaker range, but these ones are still a threat. Then we have the Green Demon, power level 600 to 900, and he looks like some kind of alien slug-looking thing, got like little antenna eyes. I don't know. I think these I've seen with Koala Demons. I always thought they looked kind of like interesting. I was hoping they'd be a little bit stronger though, honestly, like closer to like Copper Demon level. And then, of course, we have Giant Beast Albion, which has been stated to be a weapon created by the Demon Clan. So these aren't actual demons; they're like weapons specifically created for war, and their power level is 5500 across the board. And I'm assuming that's because they're created, so they're all created with the exact same power level. There's no variance. So continuing with the chapter, we have a big 2-page spread, and it's really chaotic. There's horses everywhere, Albions are shooting stuff, we see Merlin looking, fine, just her face. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We also get Hauser, who is commanding the troops, and now he's a Holy Knight, like he's a Grand Holy Knight or whatever. He's the higher grade of Holy Knight now, what he was made in a previous arc. So I like seeing him take a leadership role. That's really cool. I think Hauser's a nice character. And he's saying that in both terms of numbers and strength, they are outclassed, so they have to use tactics. And he's having Gilua spread them out and break into their formation, which is a really smart tactic, because as far as numbers go, totally outclassed. As far as power goes, completely outclassed, except for the white demons. Hauser actually takes out a couple demons. Even looks like he might have got a Copper Demon. There's one in the panel. I'm not sure if he takes it out, but he's at least hurting it. That's pretty impressive, because the Copper Demons are above 7 Deadly Sin level, beginning of the series, when they were way weaker. But that's still a really strong opponent for someone like Hauser. So I'm proud of him. Go Hauser. So right after this, Hauser pulls a Sanji. He has a really cool moment, a really cool feat, and then is immediately shit on by someone. A bunch of demons are shooting stuff at him, and it looks like he wouldn't have been able to get away, and he would have taken some serious damage or even died if these hit him. But Death Pierce saves the day. He uses his magic Melody, which lets him control the music elements of magic. So the tempo and the dynamics and contour. So basically he can make him, it translates to him basically being able to make magic squiggle around and miss and whatnot. At least that's what we saw in this example. So Death Pierce saves Hauser. Then Death Pierce proceeds to charge really recklessly and take out a Koala Demon, just straight up beheads it, which is impressive. Hauser even says that's no human level of attack. He's hit by a Copper Demon right afterwards, just slammed into the ground, and he's messed up. He's really messed up, but he's just saying oh, this doesn't hurt at all. So the blessing that Residual gave him is totally messing with his mind, because his fingers are all bent out of shape. He's obviously not okay, and he says it doesn't hurt even a little bit. That's weird. I don't like that. We also see more of Death Pierce's Order of Knights, going in on some demons, a couple other knights, I'm not sure if they're named or not, but just, a couple other Holy Knights who are all kind of getting up and acting almost zombie-like, they're getting beat down, and a couple of them, they're doing okay, the guys from Death Pierce's Order of Knights, they were striking down some demons, but I think they're taking a lot of damage, but they're just ignoring it because of the blessing that was given to them by Residual. Even Hawk mentions, like, hey, what's up with these guys? Did they eat something funny? Because, he's comedic relief, so of course he has to say something dumb. But then Gowther says, is this cheat hope? Which is apparently written in kanji as fraudulent light. So this technique is at least known by other clans by another name that's, like, more akin to what's actually happening. It's not exactly a blessing, it's a fraud. After this, Hauser is stating that they're getting pushed back. The difference between their sheer power is just too much. They were doing all right, but they need to retreat, and they need so they can strike back more effectively. But right at this moment, we see Diane. Diane comes in on a freaking Earth tsunami. So the name of this Earth tsunami is Queen Empress, which I adore. I adore this name because Balor, or Dolor, I'm not really sure which translation is right, he basically was trying to make Diane the next Queen of Giants, the equivalent of the King of Giants, because he thought she might have some qualities that are good for the Giants, that aren't just purely about fighting and stuff. But at the same time, she's also insanely strong, so she's like a perfect fit. And seeing her kind of embrace that by naming her attack Queen Empress, that's just really cool. And right after this, while the wave's still collapsing over everyone, an Albion actually manages to get a shot off and try to shoot Diane off the top of the wave because, she's riding it Big Mom style. But Diane responds by going heavy metal and just taking the hit like it's nothing, and then she just swings her hammer down and crushes him. It's great. Diane is on point right now, and we can see that her training really paid off. As a follow-up to Diane's assault, we see King immediately afterwards using the first form of Chastafol, the true first form of Chastafol, where his spear is released and whatnot, because he can do that much easier now that he has his wings sprouting, finally. He uses Tyrant Tempest and takes out multiple Albions like it's nothing. And this is something like I specifically said I wanted to see because, King took out an Albion before, but like took everything he had, and he took a lot of damage beforehand, and he had to like dig really deep to do it, and now he's just doing it effortlessly. Like he didn't even think about it. He was just like, alright, taking them out, whatever he does with his hand. The Holy Knights right afterwards are talking about how they're so much stronger than them and how they're so happy they're on their side, and Hauser's like saying they're showing off. Like, I'm really glad they're here, but dang, showing off how much stronger they are than us. Like, he's a little frustrated how he's so much weaker than them. I can totally get it. I'd be frustrated too. But then immediately afterwards, he states that it's not over. They're still pouring out. Demons are everywhere. So they might have taken out a lot right now, but the demons seem to be like almost never ending at this point. It's at this point that the Archangels finally start to, contribute. They use their Omega Arc on a bunch of the demons. It doesn't take out all of them, but like a huge portion, and the Albions, which are the big threat. So they're insane, ludicrously strong, as well as, King and Diane. So they got some really powerful allies with them right now. Gowther hasn't even done anything. Gowther's just chilling there, and Elizabeth hasn't had to heal anyone yet, although I think she should be. And then Sarmiel and Tarmiel actually mentioned that this isn't even going to serve as a warm-up for what they want to do, which is take out Estarossa, because Estarossa took out Mael way back when, the previous owner of the Blessing Sunshine, which now belongs to Escanor. This mention of Estarossa serves as a transition into a scene with Monspeet and Derriere, who are in the city, they're right by a town that's like seeing all the demons like march by, and everyone's freaking out. Some of the civilians are going to warn them, not knowing that they themselves are demons, and elite demons at that. Monspeet and Derriere have a conversation while they're there, and basically it boils down to Derriere wants to go return their commandments so they can keep living how they are, because they're happy. They are enjoying this quaint little life more than they thought they would. We see this amazing picture of Derriere. She like turns off her demon markings, and we see just her face, and she's looking like a bae, straight bae. Like, my goodness, I didn't think she'd be that attractive without the marks or anything, but go her. And it's at this point that Estarossa makes his appearance, and he's looking to mess some stuff up. Like, their happy little thing they got going, I'm pretty sure even if they return their commandments to Zeldris, I think Zeldris will just let him go. I don't think he wants to kill them. He just wants the commandments. But Estarossa's messed up and insane, so left me on edge until the following chapter, the week after. Speaking of that next chapter, let's get into chapter 260, which focuses on Monspeet, Derriere, and Estarossa's interaction. Chapter begins with Monspeet kind of asking Derriere about if she's serious about returning the commandments and whatnot, and Derriere kind of like, she really opens up. She's talking about how she's been so angry for so long because of the murder of her sister and like by the goddess clan and stigma and stuff and all this, but ever since then, like it's Elizabeth that saved them from their Indra forms, who's a goddess, and these people, these humans in this village are the ones that like have been caring for them and looking after them and like allowing them to be a part of their community. So it's just like she's conflicted and it feels weird, which is super realistic, and Derriere just became a million times a better character in my mind. Monspeet shares in my enjoyment of this little moment from Derriere. He smiles and says it's been a long time since he's seen her open up or talk like this, and she says, well, I have to talk to you. My sister, she loved you, she always did, and she'd be mad at me if I didn't, basically. And this is when we get the kind of little reveal. Monspeet's like, yeah, your sister loved me, but I love you, is what he was trying to like communicate, but he couldn't quite do it. It's at this point that one of the villagers that they befriended comes to warn them, demons are coming and stuff, which they don't really need to worry about, but she's warning them anyway. And we see her get incinerated, like straight up incinerated. Really brutal, surprised the crap out of me, was not expecting that at all. Estarossa makes his appearance, he walks in all nonchalant as if he didn't just murder someone in cold blood, and Derriere wastes no time in, confronting him. She goes to strike him, and he uses full counter and just blasts her backwards. And since Derriere's ability is Combo Star, so every time she hits, I think it's 2 tons of weight gets added to her punch, like every single time. So her physical abilities are through the roof, especially if she keeps the combo going. But Estarossa specifically uses his full counter for physical abilities, not magical abilities like Meliodas' full counter. So it's looking a little rough for Derriere. She is not a good matchup, and Monspeet recognizes this immediately. Estarossa begins to extract the soul from the person he just murdered and goes to eat it, and Monspeet very nicely, surprisingly nicely, asks, can you please not do that? Can you not eat that specific soul? We know that person. And Estarossa's just like I care, goes to eat it anyway, and this is when Monspeet says, I thought you'd say that. When Estarossa goes to take a bite of this soul, though, he actually takes a bite of an apple, and we see Monspeet pick up this apple on the page beforehand, which I think is a really nice touch. I didn't actually realize that till I went through reading it for this review, but yeah, he picks up an apple, and then he switches them, kind of like Law's room from One Piece. Sorry, I make a lot of comparisons to One Piece. Estarossa mentions that the name of Monspeet's power is Trickstar. I don't think he knows exactly what it does because he seems kind of confused. He says that was an interesting attack, but he knows the name of it at the very least. And then they start to scuffle a little bit. Monspeet's dodging a bunch, and Estarossa has kind of a darkness blade on his hand, and he's missing, but he's trying to attack him. Monspeet's telling Derriere to stay back because, again, like I mentioned, he knows that Derriere is a terrible matchup for Estarossa. This is when Estarossa mentions that he's too overprotective and that this overprotectiveness is going to cost him, basically, because he gets him in a headlock, and it looks like it's almost like it's over at that point. How is he going to get out of this? It's at this point, once Estarossa has Monspeet in a headlock and he feels safe and secure in his victory, that he mentions that his goal is to take their commandments. Derriere says they were going to return them to Zeldris anyway. I don't think Estarossa cares, though, because he wants them. He doesn't want Zeldris to have them, or Meliodas. Then we get something really interesting. Monspeet mentions that he also wants to return his commandment, but for the express purpose to be released from its shackles, because even the commandments have to follow their commandment, or else they suffer the bad effects of it. He says he wants to be free of his silence so he can tell Derriere how he's always felt about her. And my feels, man, my feels. Oh, I love Monspeet already. Oh, I love him so much. Monspeet has always shown a care for Derriere since the beginning of the series, and even an understanding of her when she still was talking all weird, she kept saying up the ass or out the ass or whatever, as a pun to her name, Derriere. He could translate basically a really long, elaborate explanation of what she really meant, and she was just like, yep, that's it. So they've always had this cool connection, and I'm glad that it's being elaborated on in such a way. I think this was done beautifully. Estarossa begins to try to snap Monspeet's neck, and he says that he doesn't want the commandments to go to Zeldris. He wants to absorb them all. And it's at this point that Monspeet's like, hey, do you want me to tell you a little secret? And then he swaps places with Estarossa. He uses his technique to switch places with him, and it's so cool. Now, all of a sudden, Estarossa's the one who's in that headlock, and Monspeet mentions that he was waiting until the moment when the hold was inescapable, so that Estarossa couldn't get out of it when he switched. So he was just sitting there in a headlock waiting for the perfect moment. Once Monspeet has reversed the headlock, he starts revealing some bombshells about Estarossa, some real bombshells. He mentions that originally, Estarossa being the second son, born in between the genius first son Meliodas and Zeldris, who's completely amazing, he's competent as hell. Estarossa sucked. He had no power and no will to hurt even a fly. He didn't want to kill anything. He had no power of darkness. He was terrible. So to like make up for this, the Demon King gave him a commandment and a bunch of his power, and this did in fact awaken the power of darkness in him. He became a badass. He's super strong now, but it ate away at his mental state, and now he's like mentally unstable. So he's not just crazy for the sake of being crazy. There's a canon reason why Estarossa is a whack job. To try to get out of this hold, Estarossa attempts using Hellblaze, like a really big Hellblaze. But Derriere's like, yeah, nice try, dude. Monspeet's like one of the most skilled users of Hellblaze, even in the demon realm, like out of everyone. So that's a cool little tidbit. Like we've seen him use that Hellbird fire thing earlier in the series, like homed in on Meliodas and Hawkmama and everything. So I knew he was strong at using magic attacks. I just didn't know Hellblaze was like his specialty specifically. Although I probably should have. He's used a lot of Hellblaze attacks. After dropping the bombshells that Monspeet does and surviving the Hellblaze, he then goes on to just keep choking Estarossa until he basically passes out. And Derriere walks up and is like talking shit. And this turns out to be fatal. Monspeet had it won. He had beaten Estarossa. I just like to put that out there. His power level, way under, but he beat him. He straight up beat Estarossa in a fight. He won. But because Derriere walked so close, Estarossa could grab Derriere, and then he goes to like rip out her heart like instantaneously, since she only has one left, and it would just be instant death. But Monspeet, in a moment of pure selflessness, switches places and takes the blow. So now Monspeet has his heart ripped out of his body, and Derriere is the one holding Estarossa in a chokehold. And it's so sad, guys. It's so sad. It'd be a little bit sadder if it wasn't for the fact that I think Monspeet could have easily just swapped places differently. He could have made Estarossa be the one who's about to get his heart ripped out by Derriere. That would have worked a lot better. Or, I don't know. He just swapped it around somehow. Like, there's some switcheroo way where you could have lived, but I think for the moment it was done well, and the impact was there. So anyway, 259 was a lot of action and a good setup for 260 with all the emotional stuff and the quick, tricky mind game fight that went on in that chapter. So I enjoyed both thoroughly, and I'm really excited to see the Holy War continue. So far, it has not let me down at all. War arcs are hit or miss for me, so especially in Shonen. So seeing this one done so well at the beginning is a good sign indeed. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would love it. Really help the channel. And until next time, see ya.